We're going to take a look at working from the over-under position, the pummeling position. This is commonly used in Greco-Roman wrestling, which is that entire system is working on takedowns that only can utilize the upper body. Again, this is a section that could go on and on and on. There's a lot of very useful things in here. What I'm going to give you is the root way to do pummeling properly, because for the most part, what I see are people doing it improperly, and we're going to give you a good handful of techniques to make sure that you can get some drops out of this. Some of these will be upper body takedowns, but a lot of them will also use the legs. So we're going to make sure you're encompassing your whole body whenever you're attacking someone. Now, the over-under position is nothing more than me having, whenever he sticks an underhook in, which is his right arm, I overhook it at the elbow. He is hooking me right at the scapula. He doesn't reach any deeper, because if he does, he's giving me a whizzer position. So it's right at the scapula, and I'm hooking in this drag position. And then we duplicate these positions on the other side. I'm on the scapula, and he's on the tricep. Okay, so far we're on the same page. We see people doing this. And pummeling is where you see, oftenly, people trying to get to a front body lock. And to do this, you'll see, since my hand's already in the back, you'll see people trying to snake through and they get to this position. Where the drill portion comes in is I'm trying to snake through. I'll be snaking through with my left. He will block it by snaking through with his opposite arm, which forces us to change this position to the other side. So we have this is pummeling, back and forth, sitting in this position. We're doing this nice and relaxed. Now, just pay attention to the arms for a moment. In case you've never done the pummeling, you'll see the snaking position here. One thing that will help you while you're doing it is whenever you're turning, watch, whenever it's my underhook arm to bring it out, you actually get a little bit of a lift. This gives you a little bit more room to come in. We're doing this at a nice little contemplative pace right here. You could actually have a little bit more, do something you call gorilla thumping, where your chest are actually hitting a little bit. You can do a couple of those. So you see, it's a little bit more combative. Now, so far, that's correct. But this is what we see everyone doing. But you notice what our feet were doing? Not a damn thing. That's the problem. Whatever side is your overhook side, this is where it all comes into play. Most people stay equal right here when they're working this sort of thing. This is wrong. By keeping your weight equal right here, I have no weight down on his legs. I'm pretty much leaning into him. I can be hanging onto his arms tight. But if you're any fan of NHB or Pride, there's nothing to stop his knees from coming straight into the body. I can be hanging on as tight as I want. Can you hit me with a knee? Yeah. Can you bring this knee to my face? Yep. Yeah, you can. The difference is, whatever is your overhook side, in this case is my left and his left, that foot is forward. So overhook foot is always forward, and you don't weight into your opponent. You hang on and you root them down. Can you throw a knee into me? No. Can you throw into my face? No. No. You've got all the weight downward. So you can do the same pummeling drill. The difference is when you're pummeling, your feet will switch to the proper underhook, step forward accordingly. Now, it seems like a small point, but taking a knee is no small attack. These things can drop you immediately. So you want to work your pummeling, probably as a nice warm-up during practically every workout, getting good hand position and making sure that you're working the footwork properly, and you can really take advantage of people who don't have good footwork on their over-under. Now, we're going to start talking about some takedown attacks from this position. First, we're going to hit a body chancery and trip. One of the easiest ones to hit. I've got my overhook hand in position, underhook hand in position. We're already good to go. These hands can stay in position. So basically, I'm just doing a right back heel trip. The back of my right heel goes to the back of his right heel from the outside. We would just drive through. We would pull, drive the body. I'm just going to step forward in position without dropping you right now. Be here to here. That's all of it. You can imagine how we would hit the mat. Same thing. Step through to here. And we'll go down relatively easy. Ready, sir? Mm-hmm. Here. All the way down. There's the motion. That's all there is to that. That's really once you see it, you go, yeah, okay, I got that, I understand it. But you want to drill it, make sure that you can do this time and time again. Another one you can hit is a flying mare. Again, I'm in a proper foot position. A flying mare is where I would drop out my underhook hand. This hand will drop out and swing across. So from here, swinging across. Whenever I drop it out and swing it across, I'll be getting a 2-on-1 on his underhook arm. I will also be turning my back to face him and dropping onto my knees. Now, it's important whenever I drop to my knees, Stay where you are. I don't drop right in front of him. I'm attempting to break the plane of glass with my heels, or come as close to breaking the plane of glass as I can while hanging onto his arm. While I'm hanging on the arm, I would bend, put my forehead on the mat. Now, this isn't a spinning arm throw. There are versions of that. We can show you right now. It's this flying mirror. This can be a little bit higher percentage for you, and that's why it's the one we emphasize right now. So underhook arm comes out. We come to here. You're going to really hop and back step into position, drop down low, and bend. So I'm not taking you down yet. It's going to be more of this position to drop. So we're here. I'm going to go over with you this time. You ready, sir?
Yeah.
We're here. That's flying mirror position, dropping down all the way underneath. Now, arm throws are great and wonderful. There is a lot of material we can run through on that. I think the flying mirror is more of an equalizer because arm throws sometimes depend on you fighting within your same weight class or someone who's a little bit less talented than you. The flying mirror is allowing you to put all your body weight through one limb and move someone who has some size on you. So again, we're here, drop the underhook arm out to here. That motion. You'd be doing this ballistically and dynamically while you turn and drop it into them. Now once you turn and drop, all the way to the knees, bend, forehead to the mat. One more time, sir. You ready? Here. You got the position. Now, you can hook up the flying mirror arm position 2-on-1 and hit that same back trip we did before from the back trip body chancery. So we're up. I drop this arm out to position where before I did the back trip, by leaving this arm in the body, hooking the back trip, here, this position, step in. The exact same technique, except we're dropping the underhook arm out for the 2-on-1. Back to the camera. So we're here, here, to here, bend at the waist to bring them down. One more time, even though this is pretty much a no-brainer. Here, here, bend at the waist to bring them down the mat. Of course, in all these, you would blanket. Blanket means just going down, covering whatever is your best top body position you can get, whether it's top body hold, cross body, top saddle, mounted position, whatever you can get. Now, sometimes you're going to need, what's preventing you from getting to a guy's back is this underhook. You're trying to turn the corner, this is in your way. What's going to prevent you on this side, this is overhook. These things are in the way. You need a way to start moving an arm out. Kind of tough in this over-under position, but one way to start this is to learn how to get wrist control. You can only get wrist control on your overhook side. So to gain wrist control, I would slide my hand all the way back to his underhook, get his wrist. Now, I'm not going to take his arm away just by using, look at this, look how strong my triceps are, and I move him out of the way. Won't happen, because if I get to here, even though I got some weight on him, not letting me have it. So what you will do is you slide back, put your arm into position, and then you point this shoulder to the mat, take your whole torso down. That will peel the arm off. So we're here, move it around, hook, and turn. Now once you get it down, it's important not to leave a bend in your arm, because at that point, then you're back to just using arm musculature. I would straighten my arm and think about keeping my body weight pushing down through his arm. This gives me better control. Here, he's got a lot more winging in it, and he can start possibly pulling out. He's still got some winging in it, but this, with his arm extended, makes it harder for him to fight. So again, this is not a specific takedown. We're just learning how to get wrist control. So we're here. Notice it's using the entire body to make this work. Now, from this wrist control, we're going to go to an underarm sneak position. We've got this wrist control, and underarm sneak is once we've got this, I want to get to his back, so I want to get my head through. He's not going to let me just have it, so once I have wrist control, I'm going to wing his arm high. If I have it here and I wing high, this is going to stop. So that's why we have this in a straight down relationship. So from here, whenever I wing it high, I can put my head in, and again, I want good posture. I'm not just going to stay with my head down and squat through. I've got to put my head in and arch and look to the sky to take us back. So we're here, swing, take my head through, and gain the go behind. This is called an underarm sneak. We'll do that again. Wrist control, swing, head, look to the sky, turn the corner. And again, so here. turn the corner. Now, we've hit the underarm snake. We can also use that to set up fireman's carries, which we've already used to block up someone's double underhooks. And again, a fireman's carry has to be with this arm in this relationship, this hand through. So we know from previous demonstration. You can use the wrist control there and the underarm sneak. Get wrist control, arm sneak, bang both knees, get position, back into the fireman's carry. You've already seen how to do the fireman's carry. We're using what we just learned with the wrist control and underarm sneak to be able to facilitate it from this position. So it's again, wrist control, down, underarm sneak, drop to the mat. You can keep wrist control on this or slide up to a tricep control. I did tricep control in the last demo. We'll keep it here on the wrist, up and over the top. So wrist control, underarm sneak, and right into your fireman's carry. There is also a really nice takedown available to you from this over-under position called a lateral drop. There's many different drops, but this one is particularly easy to hit. We're in proper over-under position. I will be throwing him to my overhook side. If I'm throwing him to my underhook side, to be able to post out with his hand, stop and start taking his hips around away from me, facing and possibly gaining back control or back position. So this is all predicated on footwork. What I will do is my overhook side leg, which in this case is my left leg, is I'm going to step out deep at a 45-degree angle. My underhook side leg, my right leg is going to step deep between his legs to break the plane of glass. But when I'm stepping deep, doing this at the same time, is as I'm sliding home. I'll be stepping out and sliding under his body in this manner. So, excuse me. We're not going to just hang on to modulation here. So here we got this position. That's the leg position whenever you drop. Or you're just controlling my descent right now, so we're holding. That's the leg position. Right now, once you've done that, when you fall, you're turning to look towards your outside arm. You're doing all that, you got control of his upper body. This will whip him over to the side. Let me do the fall one more time, and we'll take a look at the whole thing together. Drop and turn. So you notice I'm just not dropping facing him this direction. If I drop straight down, I basically pull this man on top of me. Ready to take a ride?
Yeah, when I fall, just let me go.
Yes, sir. Here. Here. That's your lateral drop. You good?
Okay.
So you slide in and under. You good for one more?
Sure.
All right. He's a good man. So here, step through, take the slide and turn. I'm arching to let him go. Because he would retain, so you can get a blanket ride to your submissions. Sweet. Let's take a look at another one that he won't like. You've got a scissors leg trip. It has become a staple of pro wrestling. When I say pro, I mean show wrestling, the entertainment stuff. But it's based upon a real move. And it usually works from the over-under position. It's similar to some of the scissors footwork we just did with a lateral drop. What we're going to do here, though, is maneuver to our underhook side, in this case my right. So I'm stepping off. Let's do outside the camera for a moment. So we're here, step off the position. So you see I'm trying to get off to face into his hips on my underhook side. So we're here, turn. Now once I've done that, let's control descent again. I'm going to drop on my outside leg, in this case my left leg, dropping down. I'm going to catch his ankle behind my knee. And I want to use the back of my knee, my backside knee, into the back of his knee. I'm going to have to do this drop slowly so we don't injure this man. But it all has to do with the footwork. We're going to be here, I'm not dropping you yet. Turn, I drop. Whenever I drop, I'm going to make sure this is in position. This is how you know you're falling in the right position. Whenever you're falling right on top of the feet and his ankle is caught behind the V, and you would hit in here and roll through. We're going to do this as kindly as we can. We start, we turn the corner. There's the roll. You can continue rolling up the body, start seeking submissions and toe holds, or you can just use it as a drop in and of itself. You have to one more of those?
Sure.
So again, I got to move to the underhook side, drop down, and my underhook outside of my overhook leg, catch it behind my knee, use this knee, the back of his knee, so I move. And notice when I'm doing this, I've released his body. So I turn, as soon as the drop happens, I let go of him. See, we'll turn to the back of the camera one time. Here to here. Lots of other scissors you see where people are hopping up. I'm going to take you down with this. Getting these kind of hopping up and back sweeps and all this. Nonsense. You don't need that. This is the only one that's really going to work because it is attacking the legs. It's attacking his foundation. Now, we take a look also from the over-under. We can hit hip lock throws from here. What I'm going to basically do is I'm going to take my underhook side hip and cross over his body, turn my hip into him, up, and over for a throw. So the back step footwork, stepping the underhook side foot over to a heel-toe relationship right here, and then turning and pivoting. So underhook, heel, to overhook side toe, and turn, bend at the waist. Do this with control. So we're here, step, turn to the mat. Again, you can follow them all the way down for a blanket ride. And again, so much humidity in here, our shoes are gripping the mat. So we're here, stop, spin, and over. Now, you can also hit the same hip lock, but with the headlock throw position, where I actually sneak the underhook arm out and just hook the head. Everything else will remain the same manner of footwork, turning up and over, and it still has this added benefit of controlling this arm. So, exact same dynamics, except this arm goes from here to here. Heel toe, turn, up and over. Now, again, we gave you the main thing to pull out of this particular portion is the proper way to do the over-under. Plenty of takedowns to work with there, but make sure that over-under is really rooted firmly in your head, because so many people are doing this incorrectly. Thanks for taking those drops there. Okay. All right, we're going to take a look at ways to counter out the hip lock and the side headlock shows what we talked about in the pummeling section. And really, pummeling defense is basically being good at the over-under drill, finding who can beat to the body lock first. And also make sure you're in control of your footwork and your base. But once you're hooked up in a hip lock throw, the side headlock throw, things feel pretty dire, because indeed they are. We're going to make sure you get some answers. So we're here. Corey hooks up his hip lock throw. So you turn, he's coming through. What I've got to do to prevent myself from going, if I can, as quickly as possible, I've got to take the foot away from the side of being thrown. I've got to overhook and just grapevine. I've got to weave right here to stop up the momentum. So as soon as I feel that turn come in, hook and weave to stop the motion. That's it. That's all there is to it. It's hard because the way the arms are caught up in this particular position with its over-under whenever he turns, this arm's caught, I've got no place to go, and this arm can't really wing out and shuck the head enough, so it's going to be up to your legs to put that particular beat in. I would say you can weave all the way with the instep behind the shin, behind his calf if you want to. You can find the hook is enough. This works just as well. Whatever you can get. At that point, it's catch as catch can. So let's turn it this direction, and one more time, he turns, hook, you stop up the technique. The other thing you can do now is start talking about beating these side headlock throws. We're here. He's hooking up the head. He's turning the corner. He can have the arm included, or you can have the arm beat out. Whenever you turn the corner, you've got to drop down to one or both knees. And what you're going to do with this case is whenever I drop down, I'm looking ballistically trying to extract my arm and just underhooking the near thigh and taking a pickup. Now, there's a lot of people who, let's turn the corner right here, who say when the headlock throw is coming on, they immediately want to start making the move happen right here. That's if the guy was holding you in a static position. That is a beat for a standard headlock. So if he was just standing there holding me going, hey, I got you in a move, then maybe I can pick him up and go. We're talking about he's throwing me. I don't have time to do this and reach over. So as he's throwing me, I've got to lower my base and then hook. So let's go ahead and take the turn to throw. I've got to go to here and then take the pickup. If I try and take the pickup while keeping my hips high, he will throw me even if I get my hand in position. Now with that side headlock throw, another thing I've got to do where we grapevine on this side before, the same side my head is on, I can forward trip him is just take this leg and hook in the front of his thigh, but here I'm not using it as a stop up. I'm using it to try and reap his leg back, lock it back so we can both go down with myself on top. We'll do this slow. So he's doing the throw, I hook, and we drive with me going down on top. We'll go from the wind up. So over here, he turns to do the throw, hook. So I got to hook my heel in front of his knee. That felt good. I smacked it hard. Okay. Let's take a look at this, where the foot placement is. I'm not here. He can knee out of this and still take me down. I've got to hook above the knee. He's got to hook high. So he turns the corner, he hooks, and down. Another thing we can do is hit a Navy ride from standing. Be some Navy rides to come as well. He's doing this side headlock throw. And again, I've got to drop my base to work anything from here, or else I will go over. I'll hit a half semi-squat position to right here. Instead of hooking this leg, I'm going to come over the top and underhook the far leg. So this is the position, and then up and over. So the only difference is this first one was a near leg hook. A Navy ride is anything where you're reaching through and in between for this position. You can Navy ride on the back. We'll be doing that later. But here, hook of the Navy to drop them. I'll have this other hand and a seat belt to assist in the lift. So we're here, squat, hook, and using the head hooking to bring him back. Let's go from here. So you're hooking, turn your side head off, and into this position. Let's do it one more time right over here. He's here, he hooks, squat, turns, and up into position. Okay, what we had there is we blocked out the hip lock throw where your arms are pretty much trapped up, and the side headlock throw where your arms are not included, they're whipping you over the top. We've done the grapevines, your Navy rides, and you got your forward trips and your near knee pickups. Now, for takedowns, we've already done the high single. Let's take a look at a low single. A low single is a really high percentage takedown. You hardly see it used at all, except by Kazushi Sakuraba is wonderful about pursuing these things, whether he's starting the standing position or down on his knees. I'm going to show you two variations to hook it up and tell you which one I prefer. There are some coaches who think the head to the outside is fine. I'm going to show you why I don't think it's that wise for NHB. First, to hook up the single, remember we did in the high, we hooked with the inside hand first so we don't have the whizzer hook up. It would be the same thing when we're working for the leg. Basically what we're doing is we're cupping behind the heel. So you're going to bang both knees to the mat, hit with the inside hand first, bring the rear hand around. Now you can hook up in the same hand position you had for the high single. Not as necessary at this point. You can just cup with both hands on the heel. I find out of habit because of this, I still use this down here. But I can see no problem with you working with your hands just cupped on the heel. You can work with the head to the outside on this takedown. My only problem with this is if he just takes a post back and kneels down, he's got an easier way to base on my head and stop me up right here. Whereas whenever he's basing on my head, he's got this posted back, my drive is taken away from me to some degree. Head to the inside, whenever he's posting in, even if he puts this knee down, you're still able to get a pretty good drive against the inside of his shin and still drop him down. Now, again, outside or inside. I just discussed the outside. I mainly want to show you how to do this to the inside. I'm going to show you how to protect your face from knees as you're going down for this single, because it's going to be a ballistic drop. So when we're standing up, again, we got to maybe touch it before we go down. Whenever we drop, since we know we could be leaning into a knee that's coming up to kill our face, my outside hand, which is, remember, my inside hand is reaching, the outside hand acts as a gate. I'm coming down, palm down, instead of smacking at the knee as I go down, and then this will gate around as my head goes to the inside. Seldom, you're usually going fast enough, seldom will this knee be coming up, but if it is, this little gating motion is all that's needed to really guide this your face away from this knee. Rather than you just dropping down this way and possibly eating it, you'll be dropping down, smacking off this knee, and hooking your hands together. So we're here. I'll tell you what, you go ahead and drop down and take this. Your great high single kick. Take a look at that. He's got it set. Drop a few more times. Head to the inside. See how he's gating on the way down. This time, drop it and bring it back. There's the drop. And to drop him, drive him back, what he's doing, wait, just freeze it down there, please. To stop me, he's not pulling my heel, he's just stopping that heel from moving, blocking a position and driving with his shoulder at mid or high shin length, and that's what brings me back. Shove. That's it. Take a look at this. Even if I post back with my rear foot, keep driving, it still will bring you down. Now, outside, fine, but inside is really the way I want you to have this thing down. What you can do also, go ahead, drive it in. If he starts turning on you a little bit here, this can be a way for him to stop it. He can turn the corner and take this from behind. He'll turn the corner and leave this hand in place. This hand will reach out, palm. Let's have you go against the knee, far knee right here. He's got the palm against the knee. And all he's got to do from here is still keep these things blocked, hit me with his shoulder, and this hand is blocking my knee from taking a step forward. So again, this is used where he's driving. I back step to stop his momentum. He reaches between the legs, palm to the knee, hits me with the shoulder. This hand's not trying to push my leg out, it's stopping me from taking a step. Let's do it 2 more times slow, and we'll hit it. So we're here, turn, reaches for the knee. Again. There you go. Go, sir. And there you have it. High single, low single, real high percentage takedown. Very unexpected. So we can be playing from here. It's really hard to see these things coming in sometimes. They could be taken off a slip. They'd be taken off of, for example, if Corey shot a double and I just ran back, he could continue on by reaching for this low single. You want to be really good about just following these things and snagging them up and learning to turn the corner and hit this knee. This guy is just trying to hide his base from me the entire time. I really, really suggest keeping this high on your list for your vocabulary of takedowns. We're going to take a look at how to counter the low single takedown. Again, we showed you just a handful of ways to do the low single. There's many ways. We're giving you just one way to counter the low single right now. There are lots of ways, but this is going to be a bread and butter way. I think this is the way that this will be the first one I would teach anyone, and it's the one that you're probably going to pull out 90% of the time. So whenever he shoots his low single, as I said before, I've got to turn my base into him. So whenever he is driving, I've at least got all this base on the floor, and I've got to step my leg out far enough. If he were to reach for this far knee, go ahead. Woohoo! Nothing there. All right, so since I've already turned the corner here, we're not going to stay static like this. We're just going to show you where the foot position is. So you're going to turn, base far away, so he can't reach with the far arm block of the knee. Then I'm going to continue to back step over him. Let's turn this a little bit. Continue with the momentum, the back step here, and sit down on top of him. Then I can go to work with any series of rips I want. Here I'm just getting a figure 4 in his arm. I can overhook it, I can underhook it, I can hit a bar arm, I can reach back and just grab a crotch lift and turn them over. So really, just looking for whatever handle is available at the time. Sometimes you're just playing an open game for submission only. You're going to find this position, and to hit that single, I just want to pull them straight into me or across without clearing this arm, because this will stop. There's a post right in my body, so I'm actually sweeping that across and then hitting the drag. So with either a single or a double, the key is to clear his hand across the body, and the ultimate goal is to get the go behind. It's not just enough to go, okay, I moved him to the side. You're pulling him 45 and across, stepping behind him, reaching around his seat belt, and then using your own body to trap his arm between you. Let's do it at the back of the camera for a moment. The double drag, pull. This is the position we're looking for. So we'll stand our right arm, let's do a double drag to go behind. Go ahead. That's the position. That's set up for a double drag. Ready to go behind. Now, we've done this, we covered this already in the earlier portion with the high single position. We got the falling arm drag and knee, but it can be hit without having to do, we were using this against the, as we said, the high single. This can be hit from doing a single drag or a double drag. You're going to step between his feet. This is whole territory for us now. I'm going to step between his feet. My right hand's doing the drag. Right foot steps through. I turn into him, overhook the knee, and drop into my right haunch and turn to bring him down. We've done this before. So hit it one more time. So you hit the drag, step through, and turn. That's a falling drag. We've done that as a counter for the high single, but it can be done when you're playing just on your drag offense games. Now, we can also hit an arm drag with a trip. It can be single or double. Really, if you're saying when should I use which one? When they're available. If the single's available, you got it. The double's available, you've got it. Just whatever you can get at the time is fine. At this point, a drag is a drag. It's just terminology. Keeps you on the same page, because sometimes a drag might be a single drag into an ankle. Here, we're going to drag into a trip. This drag would be 45 and across. I'm dragging with my right hand. The right arch of my foot will kick against the inside of his ankle. We're going to do this very nicely. So I'd be pulling here and kicking here. So at the same time I'm dragging him down, I would be ballistically kicking that foot hard to bring it up. It's pretty painful against his ankle, so I'm just going to touch it, and he'll go with the motion. You get the idea. We'll do this nice and slow. So here's my drag here, kick up, and bring him down to the mat. So this is a standard drag. There's a double drag with the trip or the single drag with the trip. That's all there is to it. That footwork right there, by putting the drag in. This wouldn't work. If I just hang onto his arm and run and kick his ankle, it hurts and I made him mad. I got to make sure the drag is occurring at the same time. A variation out of this is an arm drag with an inside back heel. Where here we just did the step. Here we're going to step this heel all the way behind. So the footwork before was arch, the foot to his ankle here. Here is heel to heel. Just like this. So we're pulling him 45 and across. We're driving into him. We use the drag to clear an arm out of the way and hit to make him go to the mat. Do this back to the camera. Drag, inside back heel, and down. I can follow him down and blanket him, or I can stay up. One more time in that position. Arm drag, inside back heel. All right. We covered ways to drag. Lots of ways to use these. Don't think of these as just something, a little frosting along the way. You're going to be surprised how often, when you're playing the game in this position, how often drags are come into play. It'd be important to you. Drag offense is important Your defense is just as important. So if he sets me up with an arm drag, one of the counters is called a crossbody. I'll turn this way for a moment. So he's got my right arm, and he's dragging off to his right. What I will do is, whenever he's pulling me, instead of letting myself be pulled totally 45, I will go into him. So we'll turn this way a moment. I will bump him with my shoulders. That's one motion of it. So he pulls, get the bump. I would hit him more ballistically. Also with the bumps going on, my right arm's being dragged, my right foot overhooks his knee. So he pulls this motion right here. We'll freeze it right here. Me hitting it with my body and me hooking here behind his knee, we would go to the mat because I'd be driving back towards his back. But we'll slowly do it here so we can see the footwork. Drag to here. One more time. Drag to here. And we'll try and do this nicely. We'll go down. He's got me. He drags. Hooks. We go down the mat. I released his foot on the way. I didn't want to keep his knee bound up. Can put some stress on the knee. And slowly he pulls, overhook, in, all the way down to the mat. Now, remember we looked at this variation of this technique before, where he did that falling arm drag. He steps in between the feet, grabs the knee, and he takes me to the mat. Well, we already looked at this. We were counting this out against the high single to make sure it's fresh in your memory in the drag section. When he drags me down, I need to post on my free hand and then try and take the trap foot and step it across his body. We'll do this attractive side of the camera. So he pulls and drops. Post. Step it over. Do it again. Post. And step the leg over. Do it one more time, because we've done this before. He drags, he drops, he hits the falling arm drag, post, and step the leg over. We're both in this drag position at this time. So, there you got drags, single drags, double drags, falling drags, ways to use them. Drags are very, very vital to your game. Ways to counter these out. Still on our feet. We looked at over-under pummeling position. Look at here. We need to take a look at collar and elbow position. Some wrestling systems only work from a collar and elbow. You're playing in a vast scientific wrestling system where all these techniques come into your vocabulary. To make sure you're doing this correctly. Collar and elbow, sometimes used as jacket wrestling. They are hanging on to the actual clothing here and the clothing here. Whenever you don't have that, it's just hand on the nape of the neck. You both have that, or right on the neck. Your other hand can be on top of the crook of the arm, or it can be scissored underneath, under the elbow. But if it's here, it's not passive, you're actually looping it. Because if you're not controlling this arm, he could be hitting me with this inside arm. So I need position, so I don't get popped, or I can be hanging here. Even if he started to pop here with this grip, we can stop it up. My preference is to come here on top. You'll see Corey's working the same way. Footwork in this position is not as much. You're probably going to keep these where before in the over-under is important. What's overhook leg was forward. Here in collar and elbow, you're probably not going to be here long. I don't suggest starting your match and going, hey, you ready to wrestle, Corey? Okay, this starts stalemating. It's just two guys seeing who's stronger at that moment. These things happen. We're playing, and maybe I'm reaching to look. We popped it up. We're still going to pop it. It can be straight up whenever we're dropping, or it can be at an angle across his body, because we'll be dropping at the same time. I'm dropping down to the knee and popping. Usually I'll hit this one throwing his arm laterally across his body. Head side hand comes off, and I'm looking to snag on the foot. And after that, I can use both hands and snag this thing up in a hug and drive into it. So we're here, we're going to drop, throw that arm across, and start driving into that leg. We're here, we're going to drop, bang the knee, and throw it. If I throw this too soon, I'm blocked by my own head. So I got to drop and time it and get both hands on here. So take this somewhat slow. Here, throw. And you'll notice that I'm doing that throw, how I drop a little bit to give you some base. If it's just me doing this way, that wants me to be static energy on this. When it hit, it's more of a ballistic strike to make these things happen. One more time with intention. Here, drop, and bring him down. Awesome! From this position, we get a snap down. A snap down is pretty much controlling the back of his head and throwing him down the mat. We're doing it from this position, though. This can only be done. Some important theory. When the shoulders move past, we talked about this physical plane of glass between his heels. There's also one coming up from his knees. So this position, glass plane is here. My shoulders come out and meet that plane. Any further, I start losing my base. When you're hanging on to each other, you get a little bit more leeway on it. But you can be able to start feeling when someone's overbalanced. So all you have to do is keep your hands in position and shove them straight down to the mat. Move your base out a little bit and pull them down. Now, if he's in good positions, this is what I get out of snap downs. Nothing. Bad positions, it's like magic for you. So really the key is where his shoulders are. Look at that. You can tell immediately, that's too far. That's too far. You may be able to tell it, because through the whole time you're doing collar and elbow, you should be checking each other. You're feeling, oh, he's in, he's out. You should be pulling, juking, and jiving the entire time. Give you one more thing to use in this collar and elbow position, even though there's myriads of other things you can do. What I'm going to do is take the head side hand, turn profile for a moment, and pull it out, hit a chin push to take him back. Now once I hit that chin push, the elbow control hands, they come in for a front crotch position. So it's push, because I've extended him, hit the front crotch. This is like using it as a switch. I'm pulling on his leg, you actually use it to pull me behind. Now some say you can just use the push and then walk behind him. Now Corey's a fighter. If I just try and do that without some kind of hook, he walks away from me. And we're still fighting in this game. So I've got to push and create a handle as I turn the corner. So it's here, push, inside crotch, pull to turn the corner. Can you walk away from that one? I don't know. Right here. Excellent. Turn the corner and pick up the leg. So there you have it, the proper way to use collar and elbow. In many ways, you go on the offensive from there. Thank you, sir. Thank you. We're going to take a look at now how to counter out some of the things we've done with our collar and elbow position. So we worked from here. We've had one thing to counter out is one, not allow yourself to get here. Easier said than done sometimes. Again, if you start your fight from this reference point, it's not a way to work. This should be something that just happens. If you're going to do a tie-up, you need to be able to take control of tie-ups and just not force these things to happen up front. I mean, how many times you've seen people just go, hey, here you go. Just happens
Too many times.
Too many times. Happens all the time. This isn't a fight. It's just people falling back in a stalemate position, and they think everything should work out from here. Now, this is something only if you know you can definitely control it. And this would be, if I have this position and Corey doesn't really have it, I've got both arms on, I'm in control of it. As soon as he locks it up, we're stalemated. Now, remember the heel pickups we've already worked with. We had the cross heel pickup and the near heel pickup. We're going to show you ways to counter these things out. You can be countered with either one of these heel pickups with a pancake. So, of course, controlling my head side leg, and he drops down to do these heel pickups. All I've got to do is continue to control his head side. Control his head. Whenever he reaches with his hand for the heel, all I've got to do really at this point is just reach for his elbow. And once I've hit that, I just hit him with the shoulder and pancake him over. Simple enough, isn't it just? So it doesn't matter if he's reaching for the cross heel pickup or the near heel pickup. Whenever he goes, I just got to control the shoulder and hit and pancake. And so that again, drops, control the head. And there's the elbow. Now that doesn't mean every time we show a counter, I don't want you to think, well, that nullifies everything you said before. We don't need these offenses. No, just like when you throw a jab, there's ways to stop a jab. Still, it's a fantastic tool. All these offensive weapons we're giving you are fantastic in and of themselves. Just who gets there fastest, who's got the best chains, who's thinking on their feet, and who's got the best conditioning at that point too. We'll keep this together. Also, how you can stop these heel pickups. If you can even jam these things up before you get down to a cross, to a pancake position, you can just hit with an elbow shove. So whenever he goes down to reach, all I've got to do is shove on his elbows on my head control side. This will either take him all the way off base or stop his momentum on the reach. Let's take a look at this. So what's happening is when he goes down, I come to this portion of his elbow. I come off of the crook of the arm, come right in front of it on his forearm, and shove. Let's do one of those in real time. So it comes down to reach. Just a shove in the elbow takes the base away. So again, watch just the left hand only in this portion. As he goes down, this is all we have to do to stop it up. Even if he's got that snag, as we talk about, he's got to have my forehead on his delt. Just the shove takes me off of it. One more time in real. Okay. From here, he reaches, shove, takes it out. Remember, we also had the underarm sneak behind, where we came under and hit, moved our head, and come around. So, our counter for this, you can do this one to me, whenever I hit and come around, all he has to do is he's going to beat my momentum as I'm turning the corner. He's going to turn the corner a little bit quicker than me and take my back, be on top of me. So that's one of the keys to being quick on your feet all the time. So again, remember the sneak was for me to hit here, up, take the head drag, and run all the way to a go behind. And again, all he's doing, we'll turn this side. I'll be hitting the sneak on this side. He's just going to hit the go behind faster than me. You ready? Now he's on top of me. We'll do that slow to look at the footwork here. Hit the go behind. He runs it faster, all the way around to a rear body lock position. Now we had the snap down as well. Remember, we had the shoulders when they get out far enough when we hit the snap. What can happen is if I'm out far enough and he hits the snap, instead of just reaching for the mat, if I can leave, the important limit in this to stop a snap down, one is not letting get your shoulders pulled out, but is to leave my hand that's in the collar, in the elbow portion, in the equation. This hand can come out if I wanted it to, because this is the important one. When he's hitting a snap down, I pull on that elbow, that stops momentum and allows me to get back into the game. So if he's snapping me down, I pull on my elbow control side. So snap down, we'll do the snap down. I'll be loose with this one. Snap down. That's what happens to you if you're not maintaining top control. That's why I was telling you this grip is not nearly as useful because, again, he can still pop into me. And if he has a snap down, let's go ahead. I've got no defense against it. So the hand should be on top. Snap down to here, and I can stay on my feet. So there you've got proper collar and elbow position, offenses from there, and some defenses from there. And again, remember, just because we show a defense doesn't mean it nullifies anything that came before it. Now there's another version of a high tie-up. You got the collar and elbow here. It's a great position. Really, the hand that's going to do the most damage here is the one that's controlling the head. So if I can get to a high tie-up, which is actually bringing both hands to the inside of the neck so I can work the head at the same time. Whenever I get to this position, I would often want to be putting his forehead on my upper sternum, pulling his head in deep, squeezing my elbows together, and backstepping to have optimum control of his head. So this position is fine. This is even better for control. So it looks very similar, to, as you see, to a Muay Thai tie-up. Up the inside. The difference is forehead on my upper chest, pull, and back step. Now, to counter this out, he's doing this to me. What I need to do is lift an elbow with one hand, so working a slip with one hand, and I'll use the crook of the other arm to lift the elbow on the opposite side and reach around his back. So, go ahead, take control. So he's here. He takes control with it. Again, he takes control. So the first thing is going to be lift, the slip, and then the crook of the arm. So as he takes control, go ahead and bring me down. There, he's got good condition with it, in good position, take me down. We're going to be fighting by doing this double lift right here, by flaring his elbows out. That's what takes his power away. The power has to do with the head position, his forehead being on the sternum, and your elbows leaned in tight. But as soon as he starts lifting my elbows out, he's returning, we're going back to a stalemate position and stopping this position up. Now we throw this in on top with the collar and elbow because there's a corollary of it's very close to move from this position right into this position, which is useful to you. Make sure you've got both the offensive way to hit it and the defensive way to hit it. When we've talked about working these collar and elbow positions in arm drags, we talked a lot about using go-behinds, and when we have a go-behind, pretty obvious when you get around to the rear of your opponent, you're going to be able to hit a rear body lock, which means just pretty much gripping his waist. Looks like a rear bear hug. And the gripping position of your hands is going to be thumbs in tight to your fingers, and it's going to be palm to palm. You're not going to have your thumbs included. This is easy for someone in a street or dirtier fighting to reach up and just peel on the thumbs themselves. So we're going to hook this way. This grip, this bar grip, sometimes used in jiu-jitsu, useless for you. All he has to do is just push on that fist that's protruding. He's pushing that fist, he can rip that thing apart every time, no matter how hard I hang on. This guy's a lot fatter than you, and you can't get this palm-to-palm grip. Move to a finger hook or a fat man grip right here, and this will work. So whenever you're close to your body weight and size, it's going to be palm-to-palm. Fat man grip will be right here. So from the body lock position, we've got to start having some offensive motions from here. We've already worked a forward trip against a side headlock. We can work it from the body lock. Now my positioning on this body lock is not, we're not just standing up right here. I'm pulling him in tight, I'm squeezing my elbows together, and I'm using my head to try and shove him forward to some degree to take some base, because a lot of his defense will be predicated on the fact that he can take his hips out from me and lean into me. So my job is to keep his hips close to me as I can, because again, we know if we can control an opponent's hips, we're better able to control the man. So we're here, the forward trip. I'm going to take my right foot, in this case, it can be done on either side. My right foot will hook above his knee. If I hook below his knee, he's able to step out of this. So I've got to hook above his knee, and then we'll continue to drive him to the mat. So it's a hook and down the mat. Now I step the leg out at that point. You can step out. We're stepping out at this point so I don't get full body weight on Corey whenever we crash down the mat. So it's here. That feel good on that pizza we just had. So it's right here, hook, and drive him down the mat. That's all there is to a forward trip. What we can also do from this rear body lock position are some back trips. This is very common to see in jiu-jitsu. Got no problem with it. Going to go ahead and show it to you with proper technique. They give you some variations. We got a single heel back trip. So in this case, on my side of the camera is going to be the right foot. The arch of the right foot goes right behind the heel of his right foot. And all that's going to happen here is I keep my body lock position. I will drop off onto my right haunches and turn and look to the right, bringing him over the top. Now, you would keep your body lock in position the entire way. Try and take this slowly as possible at this point. So we're here, here, turn, and drop, and bring him down to the mat. When we get down there, I would keep the body lock, try and continue, and ride him and cover him when we get to the bottom. So again, the position will be here, here, kick in. I'll just leave you there for a moment. My hands will be clasped, and I would be sitting down, turning, and spinning with him, coming out on top. It's doing about 60% guard. Ready, sir? We're right here. And covering in position. That's a single back heel trip. You can do a double back heel trip, which is nothing more than I've got the body lock in, and I'm hopping this same foot in place where I have the arch against his heel. I can hit the other arch against his opposite heel. So whenever I drop, I'm going to have to make sure my spin is a little bit more ballistic because I don't have the same amount of control because this foot was acting as a base before. I could leave it out of position. Here I'm having to hop all the way behind his heels, and then spin back. So this one's hard to hit, kind of slow. We'll go about 50. Ready? So I hop both arches up behind his heels, turn, and take the same kind of drop. Let me hop those feet in position one more time without dropping you. So it's here. Have both heels in position and drop. One more time, 50. Right here. And drop them down. You get a single back heel, double back heel. So you get a cross back heel trip. Say we're working in our body lock position. Let's say during the scramble, I don't have, my grip hasn't been solidified. He's been bucking his hips away, and I've not been able to make my hands meet. But if I have one arm, whichever arm is around with the greater portion of coverage, in this case my left, I've got a good seatbelt position on him. My trip really isn't going to work here because I can't get enough torque with it. It's going to be just my arm doing the work. What I'm going to do is a cross back heel. This is my left arm across the seatbelt. My left foot is the one that's going to make the switch. Essentially what's going to happen is I will bang my right knee to the mat. Since I have a left seatbelt in, my left heel comes behind his right heel. And what I will do is just continue to turn towards the mat, use the seatbelt to bring him over the extended leg. So I'm just going to drop into position here, from here to this position. So again, I'm making this all loose so we can see what's going on. I'm just going to drop into position one more time to here. This time I will keep a tighter version of the seatbelt, bring him over the top, and blanket about 50%. Ready, sir? There it is. That's all there is to it on that cross back heel. One more 50. Here we are. To bring him down. Now, you take good falls. A few more things we can do from this rear body lock position. We can also drop down and take a double ankle. So let's put this towards the camera. I'm fighting him here, and maybe I've tried, I've juked, and I've jived with some heel tripping. I'm a little bit worried about it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to release the body lock momentarily, drop to both knees, and hook around both ankles. Once I have both ankles, I'm going to drive my head's on the right. I'll be driving my left shoulder through the back of his right leg. We'd be hooking here and just driving through. Now this is a speed technique. You have to release and drop, make all this work quickly for yourself. So it's from the lock, release, bang both knees, hook in front of the ankles, bang your left shoulder through the back of the knee. So here we are in position, this, drop down, and hit. Now I'm going to tell you, the preference for me is to try and hit these trips, but if these are only being used, as I told you, the continuum, he's hiding some of these things up from you. And this is about the only thing left to you at that particular time. Now, we're still not done. You see here the rear body locks in this position. We can also take what's called a rear crotch lift. Now the rear crotch lift is nothing more than releasing one of your grips. In this case I'm going to release the right. I'm going to leave the left hand to seatbelt position. Right arm will come up high in the crotch position. So let's raise your arms for a moment. We're here, going to release, got one in the seatbelt, high in the crotch, and all I've got to do is lift with the right crook of my arm, arch, and look towards the sky. So it's here, release, lift, and it's a pretty healthy drop. If I continued on with my way to drop them down. For drill purposes, let the guy come to a quasi-handstand position. So we're here, release, underhook. That's the position here to here. You can hang on tight that seat belt and lift. And another one to right here. Variation of this rear crotch lift is a rear thigh lift, which I can do by releasing here instead of underhooking the crotch. I underhook closer to the back of his knee and get a variation of the same thing. So you've got rear crotch, which comes here, rear thigh comes closer to the back of the knee. One more time in the rear thigh, release, leave the seatbelt in, and back lift. We can also, at this point, do a cross crotch lift, which has to do with me releasing. I'm going to attack his right leg. I'm going to release my left seat belt, which has been in place for these other crotch lifts, and I'm actually going to bring it in front of his body. And then I'll rehook back behind. So the handwork again was here to here. Far hand over, comes in front of the leg. It's actually a simple technique, it's very powerful. So it's here, you're ready to lose about 50%. It's a hard fall to take. And I'm lowering him down as we get to here. I'll hit this one slowly this time. Cross, over, in, back lift, and through. 150, sir. Okay. Here we go. So it's across, pick up, and down. Now since we're lifting this guy off the mat, let's do one more. It's about lifting. It's just the lock and lift. We're in position. If we've got it locked up, and at some point I find just where we put our arches of our feet in the back of his heels, if you can get your hips all the way into his, what you will do is you will lift, you will keep your body lock in, you put your hips into him, you will arch and look to the sky. This will bring his feet off the mat. At that point you can suplex, which is take them over the top. In my opinion, that's more of an advanced move. I don't want to cover that right now. At this point, if you just lift them off the mat, it's up to you whether you can windmill them with your knees, just take them off the side. But the technique of the lock and lift is getting your hips below his and popping your hips through him while looking up. It'll look like this. We're from here, and that's your lift. Once you have the man off the mat, you're able to arch and turn to any side that you want to. But again, it's here, hips lower, arch, look through. And what we'll do one time here is we're going to lift. I'm going to look off to my right while we're down to the right side. So we're here, arch, look through. There we go. Last, certainly not least, we also have an ankle pickup with an inside trip, where we've done a double ankle where we release and bang to both knees to grab. This case, what we're going to do is we're going to release and just reach for it. I'm not going to bang a knee. I'm going to release with my right, leave the left seat belt in, grab in front of this ankle. I'll pick it up. He's on a one-legged base, so I'll take my left leg and step it in front of his to finish him off. So we're right here. I'm going to release, leave the seat belt in, pick up an ankle, and then step in front of the leg. One more time. So it's a release, pick up, step, there's your trip. So there you have it. We use the drags and the collar and elbow to try and get to a go behind. So once you get to the go behind, you run us back, then you're in the rear body lock territory. Several ways to go on the offense from there. Work on those. We're going to take a look at how to counter all these rear body locks we've been doing. We gave you a huge vocabulary for the body locks. You're going to have a large one to start countering this thing out, because this is a common position both in standard submission wrestling, scientific wrestling, and even a lot of your jiu-jitsu players are going to hit this rear body lock. The first and most standard one is, Corey's going to hit this one. You don't mind doing a move against me, do you, Corey? It's just going to be a standing switch. Remember, switch is anything, we've already discussed this before for another position. Well, he will take his arm over the top of my same side arm, so right versus right, and he will underhook my right thigh and use this as a lever, almost like a rung in a ladder, to turn the corner. In this case, he'll be able to grab his own rear body lock on me. So I've got the body lock. He gets his hips away first to do a switch, because remember, for me to have proper offense on the guy, I've got to be able to control his body, so he's trying to take this away from me. So he gets his hips out, throws the arm over, hooks the leg, turns the corner. Now, the beautiful thing about switches, he's already behind. He would want to immediately start launching into one of his offensive techniques like we just did on the body lock stuff. But if he just stays there and stays stagnant with it, you notice this turns itself into a nice little drill, a little give and take. We got the exact same thing. So he's got the body lock on me. I do the same thing. Hips out, overhook, hip, turn, switch. Back to him. Here, hips out. and you're constantly turning with this drill. Now, obviously, you can go right and left, move around. Right now, we're just trying to make sure you get the concept. It's going to be hips out, turn, overhook. It should be optimally with the back of your armpit against his upper arm. Hook with your palm to his inner thigh to turn the corner. Because you're going to find when you're turning, if you're trying to hook without your palm in, elbow will give too much. You do not have enough pull on it, so you turn around, it will use the biceps musculature to help to give you a little bit of a pull. Now there's a variation with the switch that we call the standing step behind switch. We hook to this body lock. This is going to be used in kind of specialized circumstances. Here I've been trying to reach for the switch, but he's been pretty good about hiding this leg on me to some degree. It doesn't matter what side I reach for. So what we do, we've discussed wing locks to some degree earlier. We're going to have a whole segment on them as well. I'm going to wing this arm, the side I'm attacking on right now, which is the right side. I've tried the switch. It's been hidden. Wing, then just overhooking at the elbow, keeping this tight. I'm going to attempt to step towards the wing side, which in this case I've overhooked in the right. I'm going to step right. If I can get behind him, that's all the better. Turn this in rear position for a moment. I'm going to take my left hand and actually hit the switch on his hip. So instead of my palm going against an inner thigh, it's going to the outside of his right hip. So I step to here. This arm is now in position. So again, I saw the switch, missed. It's usually easy to find. You hook for both sides, come back to this position, start back stepping and get around the side of the hip. Now once I do this, to finish this off, I'm keeping this wing tight, and I'll be rolling towards this outside shoulder while blocking his hip with this hand. I would be sitting down while I'm doing this, and this is going to bring him over the top. We'll do this part nice and slow. We'll get into the setup position again. Miss the switch, come back into wing position, back step it into here, and you want to get that arm out, okay, and slow to bring it over the top. Now you saw him remove that arm. Tell him why, Corey.
I don't want to hurt myself.
Yeah. He will come down pretty much in a jeopardized position when we hit. So again, we're going to hit up, miss the standard switch, and block this up, back stepping. The best thing for a moment here to turn it. I'm back stepping enough to get this between our bodies. Once this is in between, if I can get the other leg in between us, this is all the better. It is possible to make it work from here, but during the scramble for the fight, I'm going to get to here and then take the wing. I'm going to take us down nice and slow. So scoot over a little bit right here to finish this out. This is a hard one to hit friendly in a match, but in a match, whenever they land, they're not going to lose an arm, so you can play this in a sporting aspect. But as far as drills go, you see how we're stepping this thing through nice and slowly. I recommend that's the way to go with it. Let's take a look at it one more time. Make sure we understand. Switches first. That's your go-to move. That's your jab. You're missing out on that. And you're hitting the cross of this move. So step, behind, go ahead and release, and we're down. Turn into him and keep that wing so he's got nothing to block with on that side. Now we're not through with switches. We've so far we just used them against him standing there with the rear body lock, and we assume that he's not started any of his offensive takedowns yet, like we covered in the previous unit. Well, here this happens. We'll let Corey hit this. Here we already ran through the forward trip, where I stepped across. We hit the mat. Let me just do one of those for a refresher. We're here. We go all the way down the mat. Now, once someone has this forward trip leg in, if they swing this up above the thigh, chances are you are already going to hit the mat. You're not going to be able to switch while standing on your feet. But as that leg's thrown in, if you've got the speed or the presence of mind, what he can do is go ahead and slip this hand between here as we switch. And once we hit the mat, he'll be able to try and post and break his ball the best he can with his free hand. He will use this hand to switch and move off towards my right side. So we're here. We'll take it as slow as we can. I hook, and he's already placed a switch. We hit the mat. There he goes. He uses that to switch his hand around. Let's take a look at that slowly again. We're here. I'm throwing in my forward trip. He has the presence of mind to block it out. Hit the mat. Switches to the best of his ability. Comes around.
And try that one about 50. Same thing, we'll play in position, shoot a jive it.
Uses the switch to move.
Yeah, that was 50.
That was 50?
Yeah, that's right.
Was it faster?
It doesn't matter. We're making these numbers up.
Now we can also use this switch against the crossover trip. And the crossover trip was here, where I wasn't able to get a full body lock yet, so I only have a seat belt around. I collapsed to my right knee, put the heel in here. Now what would happen, let me drop you slowly here. Once we hit it, take a look at where my arm is. My seat belt arm is right here. Now if he overhooks this, he's back to switch territory. Now go ahead and stick the arm in for switch and return the corner. So what you're seeing, a switch is a go-to move where they're standing or on the mat anytime you have someone's arms encircling your waist. And if you're able to reach behind and find a hook in the inner thigh, a switch is probably available to you. So please keep in mind, the ones I'm showing you right now are not the only options for a switch to happen. We're just trying to make sure that you are aware of how many different situations they can come up in. Let's take a look at it from that crossover trip again. We're right here, we're taking it slow. I only have the seat belt and my hopper. We're going slow with it. We hit. He's not going to be able to hit this switch yet. So when we hit the mat, he immediately reaches to throw it in. Let's go back, have you lay back down for a moment. Take a look at something I do for safety in the drill. Watch my left arm for a moment. As he puts the switch in, he turns the corner, I limp my arm out, and I pull it out as he turns the corner. The reason I do this, take it real slow, if I leave my seatbelt in, like a lot of people want to do, they're trying to retain their man, slowly turn, go, keep going, easy, tap. What happens, he carries my arm with it, it either ends up being a lock against my elbow or against my shoulder. So for drilling purposes, and in the fight, anytime you feel a switch hit, a limp arm is nothing more than trying to wing your arm out of there, well, wing's the wrong word for it, is trying to whip your arm off of their abdomen as quickly as possible so you don't get caught up in the switching motion. Best case scenario, if your arm's left there, it's just going to get caught behind you, you'll be drugged to your back. But the worst case is some elbow or shoulder damage. So again, whenever they're doing a switch for drill purposes, start limping, limp arming out of there. Take a look at that crossover again. I'm going to do this in about a real 50?
That's fine.
What's 50? Okay, here we go. Drop over. Goes in. And back around. Okay, we'll do that one more time, please. Turn a little bit more this way. Same thing. Crossover back trip. Just switch. Back around. Excellent. Okay, we've had the switches. But remember, the switches for the most part were predicated upon the idea that you had your hips out and away from your opponent. Now let's say he's been really good, he has sucked the hips in, which means he's getting ready to take a toss back to one of these forward trips, any back trip. He's going to pick you up, suplex, whatever. You can start addressing a series of movements. That means whenever your hips are close enough for his offense is going to be easier on him, we need to go to work. Now, one way to do this is whenever he's got his body lock in, he's already sucked my hips in, is I can't stay standing upright because he's going to start flinging me around like a rag doll. If he's a bit larger than me, the flinging is going to be bad enough, but trust me, even at this weight disparity, he's still in control of this fight right now with my hips out here. If I've got him out here, I'm still in it. Back here, I'm getting ready to lead. Now, we're going to give you several options from this position with the hips back. One of the most basic ones is just to bend down. You're going to slap the mat because you want to bend at the waist. You're just not reaching for the mat. You need to physically slap at the mat to remind yourself to ballistically go down because you are in dire straits right now. You can't get here and go, man, let me see if I can fight him off of strength, because you start back lifting me, Corey. That's how quickly you're going to be gone. So as soon as you feel these hands come around, back lift, I need to start dropping my base low. And once I'm in this low position, one of the first things I can do, this isn't a submission yet, it's just a block, is to use one or both hands to grab the heel, the back of his heel of the leg that's in between my legs. And this is just a stop. So if he were to try a back lift, I've got a handle. Let alone I've dropped my base, I've got my weight leaning away from him, making this harder on his lumbar spine, and also this stop up on the leg prevents him from getting some good leverage to pick me up. So my hips are sucked in, I need to slap down, find that leg that's in between, just grab the heel and stop. So he grabs, slap, grab the heel. Now it is possible from here, you see this common in jiu-jitsu, they're doing a heel pickup, which is they want to pick the heel straight up and they're trying to sitting down to a knee bar. That might work in demos or against some poor fighters. Let's turn this to profile a little bit. I'm going to show you just for argument's sake what that would look like. You're not really picking up the heel. You're putting your butt back into the thigh while blocking the heel, which causes them to go down. At this point, they would have you go ahead and sit all the way down to a knee bar position. This is pretty easy to be. He has to put his foot right here in the butt, shove out, and stop this thing. Now you can say I perhaps have stopped that motion up, but I guarantee you, whenever you start really scrambling on the mat, this block is about as far as you're going to get. If I start trying to sit into him, you're going to see what happens here is he starts struggling with the base. Watch what happens with my hands. I'm here, and I'm trying to fight and pull. My hands either leave, or they start sliding all the way up here to the calf or the back of the knee. There is no leverage for me to make this happen. So, if I just think about blocking on the heel, and not trying to pull or shove into him, I can maintain that block. So here, there's no struggle yet. I'm just stopping. Even if he's pulling on me, I'm just thinking, nope, nope, you're not picking me up. That's good enough right there. If you do want a knee bar from this position, you can take a dive between knee bar. Some people call it a victory roll. What's going to happen at this point, I still would be thinking about bending and slapping at the mat. I'm doing all the work with my inside limbs. So since I'm attacking his right leg, I'm going to use my left leg is going to go back between his legs, my left arm's going back between his legs, and I'm rolling on my left shoulder. I'm not ever sure what's the best angle for this one. So right about here, try to take this slow as possible. As I'm swinging through with all the limbs, I can post on the mat with the right hand momentarily. I'm swinging through, bringing this leg high on his body. Once we get to here, I can figure four or simply cross the legs on top and trying to keep the relationship of his knee is pointing at my navel. I need to have my pelvis above his knee to work this combination. I would tombstone grip his legs, which tombstone is meaning just crossing the arms, trying to use retention with the crooks of both arms right here, and then tap. Take your hips through the knee. Now this knee bar, it's really attractive to a lot of people. They love to do it because it's got a nice dynamic move to it. And I've used it myself, and we'll probably continue to pull it out sometimes. For the most part, though, I like you to try and work from the standing position and try and work to strive to be on top. Because lots of these leg locks where you're laying away from each other, you notice I have no weight on Corey. I am attacking one limb, but if he's able to slightly move his knee around, there's no weight on him, and then we're back into a scramble position. Well, that's probably better than where he was on my back. So that's fine. For the most part, if you can bring this fight down and be on top, and then go to work with your hooks, I think you're better off. But more details on that swing through a knee bar. So again, inside limb, I'm attacking the right. All the legs, the limbs that are close to the inside of his body, do the roll through. So left back, left leg back, left arm back, rolling on the left shoulder. I can post with his head if need be. So I'm rolling through, I'm overhooking on this behind his calf as we roll through. I'm going to give a few different rolls. I'm probably going to take 2 or 3 different rolls with this just so we can see how this comes out, and hopefully this will give an idea how this thing works. You ready, sir? Over, tap. Here's one. Let's try this angle. And the same bending. Hitting the roll. Tap. 2. Let's try one on head to head. Right here. Over back. Tap through. Now, again, telling you, I'd rather have you on top whenever you hit the mat, and this is a great submission, but if he is able to counter it just a little bit, I'm caught on my back, he might turn around, he's already in a hands down position. If he's able to swing this leg back out and turn back into me, I have more work to do to try and get back up than he does. So if you hit the submission, try and make sure it's a sure thing. Make sure that it's going to be cinched tight. Now, some of the others we had some pickups. We already addressed what to do. If you got your hips out, we addressed what to do. If you slap the mat, because they have your hips in, let's say they've already started getting a little bit airborne. Remember we had one here, we had the body lock, they dropped off and did the thigh lift for the pickup. He can block this out by grapevine. All he has to do is take this instep, hook it under this near knee. So whenever I try to move to the thigh lift, he will counter his hips a little bit, try and hook back in here, bring it up. This stops the motion up. Doesn't matter how strong you are at that point, whenever I underhook and go, at this point I would be trying to lift his body weight, myself off the mat, which is an impossibility. So again, we'll take a look. Right here, he's just got to turn his hips a little bit and underhook. So we're here. That stops it up. And again. Got it. You see, he's already naturally pushing on my head. That's starting to work against me. Now, he's also got a lock and lift. If he doesn't have a shot to turn around and hook behind my thigh, and I've given him no opportunity to canter around whenever picking him up, he can just grapevine immediately. He can take his feet and grapevine to the outside of the feet. He can be with one or both legs. And this is perfect whenever people are looking for suplexes or any kind of pickup. We can do it. So we pick up one or both legs, just put an outside grape on my leg. You cannot take this back arch any further once this has happened. Let's take a look at it again. Right there. Let's try for both legs if possible. It doesn't matter if it's one or two. Usually what you're going to find happen, it will stall. People don't get stubborn and go, I'm going to pick you up, and you lock, and they stay in the static position. What usually happens, you'll pick up, you'll grapevine, you might be there a fraction of a second, and then you swing and reach for the mat, and you're back down to working these positions where your waist is low, you slap the mat, so it could be back to victory roll or blocking behind the ankle. So let me do a pickup, you block, slap the mat. There we go. That's all there was to it. So, grapevine, slap, and back down. Now, what you've also got, we talked about blocking the ankle from in between. See what we can also do if we bypass blocking this out. Let's say I bent down, I feel like this ankle is too far out, because let's do a profile for a moment. I'm trying. So did you hear me say I'm trying? I'm Italian. I'm trying to reach his right ankle. At this point, though, he stepped it back. And if I keep trying to reach for this like an idiot, he just has to crush into me and put me down on the mat. I'm only going to reach, I'm only going to reach if this is relatively close to me. But if it's back from me, go ahead and take it back, chances are this one's in position. But I can't take this angle at this point, so I'm going to overhook on the leg and just do a pickup from here. So here's your choices again. This was the jab move. This is the first motion. I'm reaching for the heel. He hides it from me. Run immediately to a leg pickup. So it's going to be heel block, the leg pickup. And again, I want you to understand the relationship. If this is close, this is the one I want. He hides it. We run immediately into this one. It is also possible if I'm trying to run for this. Go ahead, sir. Hook up. You can sometimes just not pick up behind the knee with the overhook. You can actually reach behind the far ankle for your overhook. So it seems like it's nitpicky. I'm going to make sure you're aware of all the different handles that are available at this point. So you've got your A move in this position, block the heel. B move, block the knee. C move, block behind the heel. In slow-mo, we've got A, B, C, just like that. That's all there is to it. Now, what we're going to hit now is how to run into a whizzer from this position, and it can be tough to get. Remember, he's on your back. At this point, he's in control. He's winning the fight. Aren't you, Corey? Yeah, you're winning. He's on. Body lock. So we're back to me doing the slap down position. What I'm going to do in the slap down, when I get to here, I tried some of these, and we played a footwork game. He keeps hiding these things out. So that's what we're trying to look for next. If I keep my weight low, make it hard for him to pick me up. And he knows a front trip won't work right now because I got base in the middle. If he tries a front trip, I'm right here. I'm blocked up. If he left a front trip in there, like we'll see some jiu-jitsu guys do, we're right in the shin locking and stopping this thing out.
It's a free move on here. It's not on your outline. So what we're going to do while we're looking for the whizzer is I've got to get an arm. At this point, I'm close to the right side of his body. I'm going to take my left arm and try and get it past his head and overhook his arm. Let's take this head momentarily. So we're here, overhook. There's the whizzer. Remember, the whizzer position is from the crook of the arm or all the way armpit to armpit, but it has got to be an overhook. That's whizzer position. So again, we missed ABC. We didn't feel like we could take a shot on the rolling knee bar, so we maneuvered to one side, hook the overhook on the whizzer. Now once we've done that, it's time to take him down. And we will now take the free hand and block up this far elbow. It could be from the elbow across the triceps. So we've hooked the whizzer, we've gone to here. Now this isn't enough to take him down yet, because some people say, let's hit the whizzer and pull here. But what he can do with good base, he'll step around. Look at this. And I go, oh, now he still has a body lock on me. He's going to crush back into me and drop me back down to the mat. So I've hooked the whizzer. I blocked the far elbow. Let's release this for a moment for review. Now this whizzer hand will open up. Back of the hand is reaching for the thigh. So it's the back of the hand into the thigh, very much like a reverse switch position, right in here. Now I will pull the elbow, descend my arm, shoulder on top of his shoulder, and I'm lifting back with the thigh, which really just acting as a block. Once we've done that, here, that's the position that drops him and prevents him from taking the step around. So again, Orient whizzer position, I put the block, please for a moment, got to go to here. If it's this only, he will walk. Over here, I've got a shot to descend and block out the thigh. We'll look at that one from the top. So it's here. He's hiding all these motions from me. Hook the whizzer up here, into here. Okay, you got the whizzer, hip lock to the inside crotch pry. We're not done. We ran through a whole series of ways to break off body locks. I believe it was on the Submission Encyclopedia Volume 1. I would rather not repeat a lot of the material because we want all these things to relate. Well, the interlock at some point. Make sure you feel like you get your money's worth and not going, he's just repeating himself all the time. I do need to remind you of one technique called the resurrection. Sometimes people will body lock. Look, Corey, do this one. They don't just body lock in the waist. They're body locking high on the chest. So you can take your hips out, but it doesn't affect my grip at all. We're down here, take a look at my grip, and he takes his hips out. I'm already straining. On his upper chest, he takes his hips out. I'm going, I'm comfy, no problem. So the resurrection is him taking his chest out. Chips out? Yeah, it's okay. There's no oxygen here in Colorado. Take chest out, fling the arms out wide, and take the head back. So you've got chest expansion. It's pretty much doing a hip drive just with the upper body. So right now, let's just take the resurrection and then just, step 2 or 3 steps away. Let's do this in profile first. So it's here. There we go. There we go. There's the motion. He's taking this nice and slow. What you would probably be doing with the bigger the opponent, the stronger the opponent, sometimes you're hitting this like 2 or 3 times a succession. I know you've done it, I've done it, where you just see this, people look like they're winging or doing some kind of furious pec deck fly or something like that. But it can end up working for you. So with the resurrection in mind, what you can do, if the resurrection does occur, people just don't do what I just did. Like he resurrected, he leaves, and they go, oh, that's good, you're a good fighter. Excellent, wow, okay, I don't want to fight you anymore. They're going to run back in, because your back is still to them. Remember, before on the Submission Encyclopedia Volume 1, we showed you how to turn back into them properly with sheer turns. We don't need to recover that. Here, whenever he breaks away, my job is to keep trying to run him down, like real fighters would probably want to do. So what's going to happen is he's going to be able to hit a flying mare here. Whenever he does a resurrection, this time when I'm looking to regroup, he's sticking his arms underneath in that hook. So take a look at this. We break, he leads, he's looking to here. Now he will drop to both knees and bring me over the top. That's perfect. He threw me down. I could keep talking to the camera. You're good. So right here, resurrection. I look to get back, but he's already covered the gap. And over the top. And again, resurrection. And down. Now, we can also take this
resurrection move, and whenever they're trying to rewrap and turn this into something called a power crawfish. There's a crawfish that's done from the knees on the mat. You can also hit the standing up position. We'll introduce it here. This is very similar to what we've just done. Here, once we've hit the resurrection, we got the handbrake, and I can bring my arms back in. I feel I'm making the reach on it. But for the flying mare to work, I've got to have my base. I'm going to have to be able to pop my hips back down and get them underneath him. Let's say I pop, he rewraps, and I feel him pulling me back. Good. Or I'm on my butt. Okay, there's no flying mare possible at this point. Even if whenever he rewrapped around, I got this position here. Look at this. I can't take him over the top. I'm in bad shape. So the flying mare was my first choice of this particular resurrection chain. So we break it. I get my hips out, and I'm overhooking. I feel myself starting to be pulled back. I do sit down on my butt. Well, what I'll do here, I will keep these things hooked up, and all I'm going to do is just back step towards the arm I'm controlling. I'm controlling his left arm, so I'm going to back step toward that side to bring myself out that side. We'll try this some profile here. So we've done the resurrection. So we break. He's rewrapped in here. So I get to drop. He's dropped me on my butt, trying to keep a 2-on-1 the best I can, and then I'm going to back step and come out. You notice this power crawfish looks very similar to a underarm sneak that we've done earlier in countering out as a recountering the double leg unit. Again, you get to burst out. You're looking for the flying mare, but he's pulling back. Seek the 2-on-1. Sit on your butt. Stay there. At that point, it's just hanging on. You're going to fall down towards your right elbow. At this point, if I'm hanging on to his left, back step it through, then use that shoulder to pull him over the top. So it was here, here, down into here. Let's try this from this position right here, and we'll do it up front. I've got this position, turn to here. Let's do it one time from head on. Again, I hook this one arm up, I'm dropping, down into here. Now, for the rear body locks, last but not least on the counters, is a cross thigh pickup. This one is back to some of the old school of trying to get your hips out. But here's what happens if you get your hips out and you feel yourself starting to be jerked back in. If you get jerked all the way back in, we're running to our ABC moves. If while you're being jerked back in, you can make your hips go to one side of him using his momentum, then we'll be able to work with it. So for example, I get this far and he pulls me back in. I'm trying to get my ass out to one side. So it's here, pull. Once it's out to one side, at that point you have a pretty good shot at taking your leg and stepping behind another leg. If I'm directly in front of him, I see people all the time in so-called self-defense saying, step behind from here. Once he's got me sucked in and we're square, and you're trying to get this step in, impossible. He's got me ripped from the mat from the word go. So it's going to have to be down from pull, step to here. Look, I even went down for base. Once I've done this, then it's a cross leg pickup to put him down on the mat. I want you to keep in mind, I put this at the end of your rear body lock counters because that shows you the low value I place on it. It has its place in that specific scenario we just described. So one more time slowly, we'll do it from this side. He's pulling, I take my ass out, slap, step, turn it, and then from here, not the near leg, the cross leg to pick up, and then we would drop them all the way to the mat. So there you got several ways to drop from a rear body lock, and now you've got several ways to counter out that rear body lock. And you've got to train with them all, and keep in mind, it's not going to be this static. Corey, in our life, when we're fighting, have we ever told anyone, just do this and stay here? No. No, people are slinging around. It's like a pit bull getting hold of a toy or your arm. It's going to be shaking and wagging your body everywhere. You've got to train these with some pressure on. So train them with some isolation, nice and smoothly, and they get to where, hey, lock this tighter, move me around a little bit, and eventually you're going to be able to pull them out in actual sparring, match, self-defense context.